I'm Vice Chair of the Management Committee of the Morning Star. We're here to look at how can the union labour link be developed from the workplace upwards.
Let's have water, energy and transport in public ownership, controlled by us, because we pay for it and it is a public service. And let's have a national education service, progressive, universal, decent schools, not cash-sucking free schools. And finally, because this resonates with all of our members, let's build decent and affordable council homes. John, I want that in the manifesto because our link with Labour will be a much stronger link if those are the messages we can carry to our membership on the shop floor, in their buses or wherever their workplaces are.
The opportunities that are there demonstrated probably most clearly by the growth of Labour Party membership. This is a fantastic opportunity. Hundreds of thousands of people who have joined a political party, making it the biggest party in Western Europe, as a result of seeing a radical socialist leader elected. I think the role that the unions can play is to bring that unique working class voice and ensure that that working class voice and the voice of workplaces is heard in the Labour Party.
Ballot has power, and what they've done to restrict the power of our ballot needs to be repealed immediately and give us our voices back. Just like the voices of those who are elected to represent us in Westminster on a less than quarter turnout of what we need to do to withdraw our Labour for one day.
I really think that if we're to grow grassroots labour movement and grassroots trade union movement, both of which in the NEU and in the Labour Party have been rising. You know, we are fortunate that we are a rising number of trade unionists and a rising number of Labour Party. To make those changes, we are going to have to work together. And what I would like to see from the Labour Party is one of their national days of action on education. We've had it on transport, because I've stood at railway stations alongside Labour Party members and teachers. We've had it on NHS, because I've stood out hospitals. We need to have a national campaign on Education Day, and I think that's how unions work together with the Labour Party.
The role of the Morning Star has always been critical in giving workers and the trade unions that represent those workers a voice, both in the workplace, in the community, and to talking to politicians. But this summer in particular, it's been important to give a counterbalance to the rabid, toxic coverage that the media has given to internal discussions within the Labour Party.
It's important that Jeremy knows that there is a paper of the mass movement that is rooting for him, that is not taken in by smears and distortions.
Theresa May says she is the party of the working class. Tony Blair said that he didn't want to talk to trade unions and it was like the unwelcome anti-Arab party. Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell has shown that if the economy is going to grow, if workers are going to get a fair deal, then they need a voice in the workplace and in Parliament.
Throughout all of the turbulent times that we've seen within the Labour movement, the Morning Star is solidly behind workers. It always has been, always will be.
The Morning Star is different because it's a co-op, it's owned by the readers, and it's a co-op which 10 trade unions have seats on the management committee through maximum shareholding, so it's also owned by the movement. So we've got a paper that, unlike all of the others, is not answering to some super rich tycoon whose interests are not those of ordinary working people. It is answering to ordinary working people, and that's why it's beyond their control. They can buy other papers, they can control the message, but with the Morning Star, even if you buy 20,000 shares, you only have one vote at the AGM, so we're not viable. We can't be bribed. We're a paper of the working class movement, and we'll continue to be that.
The Morning Star, perhaps more than any paper, connects industrial workplace issues with politics. And for me, it does it the right way round. So, you know, if there's a dispute, it'll report on that dispute, and then it'll put a political perspective of that, and it connects things in the right way. And I think that's the best way forward for the trade union movement, so the trade union movement must continue to support the Morning Star.
Some newspapers are owned by very rich individuals who buy that political influence of owning a newspaper. They don't need to worry if they don't make ends meet. A lot of papers do not make ends meet. The Morning Star does have to worry about that, and we also don't get corporate advertising, which is a big source of income for most of the major titles. So we do face an ongoing financial crisis. We do need people to donate to the Fighting Fund. We also faced problems in distribution, as any sort of small independent title does. we do need people to ask their newsagent. If, you know, people who say, oh, my shop doesn't stock the Morning Star, well, go and ask them if they would consider it, because most newsagents actually will just say, yes, okay, if you want it, we'll stock it. The same is true of many supermarkets, actually. So if it's not in your local shop, ask them to stock it. If you would prefer to read it online, subscribe online. You can read a lot of content for free, but obviously we're a small paper. Show that solidarity by putting into an online subscription and donate to the Fighting Fund.
We all know that, you know, we're coming into a period where, you know, I can't see any other opportunity like this happening again in our lifetime. And we need to get behind Jeremy for so many different reasons about, you know, changing what is a broken society, whatever way you look at it. I keep looking at what's happening with my own family, my children, my grandchildren. I keep looking at the options that are there for them. And every time I sort of think about what Labour stand for now under Jeremy's leadership, I keep thinking there's answers, there's solutions.
We've seen a huge explosion of left-wing politics. We've seen a rise in circulation in the Morning Star. We've seen a real increase in interest, particularly over this summer, where we've been one of the only voices defending the Labour leadership. So I think that the movement is stepping up, the Labour Party is stepping up, and this is an opportunity for the Morning Star to actually really expand its role as a front-rank national newspaper.